So there are going to be times where you look at content on the internet and you don't actually believe what you're seeing. There are times where you might think, oh, this has to clearly be a sketch. This is fake. These people are seeking clout, or, whatever the case may be, rage bait, as some might say. So first one, this lady, she wants to get divorced. She wants to divorce her husband, right? You're not going to believe this.
I decided that I was going to tell him that I wanted a divorce. I texted my therapist, our marriage counselor, and I was like, I need to tell him that I want a divorce, but I want to do it in a session so that there's like a mediator present. Got us in like a...
Okay, I will say first and foremost, I don't disagree with having somebody present when you do break the news to somebody, because you also never know what the person's reaction is going to be, right? Now, these two clearly have some sort of couples therapist, or she didn't really say if they were a couples therapist. She kind of just implied that it was just a therapist. But I can understand I can understand her wanting to have a mediator, so to speak. Let's see what else she's got.
SAP like 2 days later. And I walked in knowing that I was going to ask for a divorce. We sit down in our session. It's like really tense, really awkward. My ex was sitting there like, so why do we have an emergency session? Therapist was like, Jamie, do you want to start? And I just started crying and I was like, I want a divorce. It's hard for me to like say the words. I'm done. I want a divorce.
You see how she's like nervous eating? You do have people who occasionally, when they are going to say something to you, whether it's a lie or whether it's just something that might be hard for a lot of people to accept, there are little signals that people do with their body. For example, like I rub my hands sometimes when I'm just speaking in general. This lady, she's eating. It's like a nervous eating. It's sort of a tick in a way. It's almost a way for her to be able to get her thoughts out a little better, right? And that's what she's doing in this particular situation. Now, I do find it interesting, however, that as soon as she starts to tell the therapist what's happening, she breaks out like the baby tears. You know what tears I'm talking about, right? When babies want something and they start crying out of nowhere, like they manifest these magical baby tears out of nowhere. And as soon as you give them what they want, suddenly those tears dry up. That well dries up because they got what they wanted, right? So she seems to be a good actress, because if she was to cry, you think she would have done that before. I mean, maybe, who knows? It's different when the person's actually there and you're breaking the news to them. But yeah, let's see what else she's got.
He sat there quiet. I'm sitting next to him crying. He didn't move. He didn't look at me. He didn't react at all. He just was stone cold. And eventually our therapist was like, would you like to respond? He responded right away. And he's like, fine, let's just go ahead and finalize the details.
Of course.
And that was that.
Let me tell you something. First and foremost, he did the right thing. Fellas, if you're going through this situation, if your wife hits you with a bombshell, wife, girlfriend, whoever you're with, right, tells you, hey, I don't want to be with you anymore, give them the breakup. Okay? I've always said that. Don't try to put yourself in this place where you're like, hey, you know what? No, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to save us. Together we will progress and persevere in spite of everything that's happened. No. If somebody wants to leave you, let them leave you. Give them the breakup. You might be hurt. You might be feeling a surge of emotions, right? Everything is changing. Your life is changing. You are going through a real life paradigm shift, and you don't know why it's happening, because obviously she hasn't given him a reason. Now, he could have seen the signs from a mile away, right? Because usually if somebody wants to leave you, there are some telltale signs where, they kind of give away. They sprinkle little dosages of them not wanting to be with you anymore. But I just found this really interesting, because he was just like, hey, yeah, let's go. Get out of here, right? And she's just in shock. She's in disbelief.
I looked at my therapist and I was just like kind of stunned. I knew that I was ready to leave, but I couldn't believe that that was his reaction. There was no empathy. There was no compassion. There was no like wanting to fight for us. I didn't think that there would be, but you just always hope that like one last try. We went home that night. We didn't speak. He slept on the couch. I woke up and went to work the next day, came home. He was playing PlayStation that night. I sat next to him. We hadn't talked in 24 hours. I said, can we talk about what happened yesterday?
Okay, so before they have the conversation, first and foremost, this is one of the highest forms of gaslighting that you can possibly imagine. She's making it seem like it's his fault that she asked for a divorce. Now, granted, I don't know the whole story. There is certainly a possibility that he might have not been the best of husbands, right? But we also don't know this. We're only hearing one side. Remember, in a story, there's three sides. There's her side, there's his side, and then there's the truth. So we don't really know what we're hearing. We're only hearing a portion of the story. Now, she is gaslighting him because she is trying to make it seem like he's the reason that this is happening when she's the one that initiated the breakup, the divorce, the separation of both individuals. This is something that she took the initiative in doing. And now she's in genuine disbelief that he's not fighting for it. You shouldn't fight for it. Why would you? It's silly. Don't drive yourself nuts for somebody that doesn't want to be with you. Now, obviously, you're probably thinking to yourself, but Neo, you're not involved in this situation. How the hell would you know how to react in this moment? Now, dear viewer, you're absolutely correct. I don't know because I am not in their shoes. But what I can tell you, okay, is that it's common sense just from a primal survival level, right? Where you have to preserve who you are. You have to preserve the person, the self. You have to make sure that you put yourself in a position where you're not going to be worse off after the fact. Yes, you're going to be in pain. You're obviously going to go through a surge of emotions, but what you won't do, okay, is give them the satisfaction. Never give them the satisfaction, okay? So let's see what else she finishes off with here. Oh, gosh, she does not look pleasant here. All right.
We were just playing, just looking straight ahead, and he was like, what's to talk about? In my mind, I'm thinking, this is our last ditch effort to like steer this ship around, you know? And I was like, so what are we gonna do? And he just kept playing, and he was like, I already got an apartment. I already took my name off of the lease. He had done things. Within that 24 hours, he had opened up the filing folder of his single man life and went ahead and got all this shit done. I decided that I was going to tell him that I wanted a divorce.
Okay, so that's the end of the video. So first and foremost, this totally feels like one of those AI Reddit stories where, you know, the wife gives the husband a bombshell and then he suddenly becomes like this expert detective slash lawyer and he's super calm and cool and collective. There's a lot of AI Reddit stories like that. You know, they're actually pretty entertaining. Sometimes I do partake and listen to them when I'm at the gym just because, you know, they're well done. But I will say, yes, you should prepare. You know, she said this was the last ditch effort. There is no last ditch effort. Okay, fellas, ladies, whoever's viewing this video, whoever's listening to this podcast, I need you to realize something. Okay, there is no last ditch effort. Once the person tells you they want a divorce, they've already thought to themselves, probably for a while now, that they do not want you in their plane of reality anymore, okay? This isn't something that someone just drops on you. I need you all to be well aware of this. If somebody decides that they don't want to be with you anymore, I guarantee you there's a plethora of different things that happened. One, either they got caught up with someone else and they think that that person is going to be the one that pulls them out of perdition, out of the brink of their own mental despair. Two, they thought about it long and hard because you probably don't make them happy anymore. You know, your sex life might have gotten routine. It might have gotten boring. You know, you might have just been going with the motions for a long time and you no longer feel that spark, which, by the way, first and foremost is okay. If you're not feeling a spark for somebody, you have no obligation to be with them, whether you have children or not. You could have been married for like 10, 15 years. It doesn't matter. If the spark is gone, you should want to leave. But what you shouldn't want is to try and manipulate your partner and make them seem like they're the villain. He was merely protecting his assets. He decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to, you know, separate our names from all this stuff that we own, you know, probably bank accounts, apartments, credit cards, things of that nature. And he acquired his own apartment because he is prepping for divorce. Now, mind you, depending on what state they live in or how long they've been married or the arrangement that they have, he could be liable to lose a lot in this divorce, you know? So I don't blame him for wanting to take precautions in protecting himself because once more, these are things that you have to do. All right. Now, the reason I wanted to react to this particular video, everyone, is because I want you all to be aware of what self-preservation looks like and what chaos looks like personified. This lady here that is munching on cookies and drinking muscle milk, from what it looks like to me, I'm not really sure. She didn't want to be with him anymore, but she also wanted a reaction out of him. She wanted him to blow up. It could be that maybe things got boring between them and she wanted to spice things up and she didn't actually want a divorce. She maybe just wanted to see if he still was interested and if he would fight for her. But I just say don't fight, okay? Don't play those shit test games, guys, girls. If somebody has to manipulate you and make you feel like you're not doing enough in a relationship by threatening to leave the relationship, give them the breakup, okay? It's very simple. There is no math behind this. You don't have to be in a corner and deliberate with all of your friends and try to decipher all the things that she'd been telling you throughout the entire time you've been together. It's very simple. Give them the breakup. And the reason I'm repeating this so much is because oftentimes when you're listening to a podcast, you could be doing a lot of things. You could be cleaning your house, you could be driving, you know, you're probably working and you're using me as like background noise, right? So sometimes you have to repeat these things in order to get it through your head, because a lot of people don't really understand how simple it really is, okay? I will tell you one thing. One of the biggest lies that you've been told in your entire life is that it's not that simple. It is that simple, okay? Do not allow yourself to be disrespected constantly by somebody that doesn't have your best interest at heart and does not want to be with you. So she played herself, you could say, in this particular case. Now, once more, I don't know his story. I don't know what the therapist heard. You know, there's a lot of different things that could have been going on here. But what I'm hearing here is a lady that wanted to artificially create drama in order to possibly salvage the marriage or make him seem unstable so that, you know, he could be liable for a million other things, because who knows, it could be a vengeful trip as well. You never know. You never know. But with that said, if you guys feel like you gained any value from this, please feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, do the damn thing, help your brother out, give me some watch hours, get me monetized, help me out here. I'm going to be pumping out a bunch of content. And if you aren't here to watch the content and listen to it, then you're going to miss out on some cool stuff. All right. With that said, you are all awesome, and don't ever let anyone tell you different. Signing off.